What if I told you that within the next decade, a country many Britons once moved to escape low wages could end up paying its workers more than the UK? It sounds unbelievable, but the data says it's possible. If you're serious about understanding how economies rise, fall, and what this means for your future income, lifestyle, and opportunities, you need to watch this video all the way through. The final insight may completely change how you see the UK and Europe's future, from 3 times richer to closing the gap. In the year 2000, the UK looked untouchable. Average GDP per capita in Britain was more than 3 times higher than Poland's. The UK was a mature Western economy. Poland was still shaking off decades of communist inefficiency. Fast forward to today, and something remarkable has happened. The UK economy has become stuck in a low-growth trap, while Poland has been growing fast and consistently. Some long-term forecasts now suggest that by 2035, average Polish wages could exceed those of the UK. Now, to be clear, in total size, the UK economy will still likely be larger. But that's not what matters to ordinary people. What matters is wages, living standards, and purchasing power. And on that front, the gap is narrowing fast. Just a decade ago, nearly 1 million Polish workers moved to the UK for higher pay. In another 10 years, that flow could reverse entirely. So how did Poland pull this off? The Eastern Europe catch-up effect. Poland's growth is part of a broader success story across Eastern Europe. After the fall of communism, countries like Poland had something economists call easy gains. By replacing inefficient state systems with market-driven ones, productivity jumped quickly. Factories became competitive. Incentives started working. Capital flowed in. But Poland didn't just rely on catching up. It played its cards extremely well. One of the biggest drivers of its success has been its ability to attract foreign investment. Global firms poured money into Polish industry, modernizing factories and integrating the country into global supply chains. At the same time, Western companies started rethinking their dependence on China. Manufacturing closer to home became more attractive, and Poland was perfectly positioned to benefit. How Poland won the manufacturing game. Poland's transformation is most visible in its motor industry. This is no longer about cheap labor alone. Poland now competes on high-tech innovation, producing advanced batteries, engines, and components used across the global car market. This shift from low-value to high-value manufacturing is crucial. It's exactly the kind of change that drives sustained wage growth, not just short-term booms. And Poland didn't do this alone. The EU advantage and its risks, EU membership, has played a massive role in Poland's rise. Poland has been one of the largest recipients of EU funding, receiving over 11 billion euros in 2021 alone. That money has gone into infrastructure, skills, and regional development, the boring but essential foundations of long-term growth. However, this also highlights a risk. These optimistic forecasts assume Poland can maintain growth of around 3.8% per year. That's impressive, but not guaranteed. Political interference in the courts could threaten EU funding, and Poland is heavily dependent on Germany, with around 28% of exports going there. If Germany slows, Poland feels it. Poland has also had to rapidly wean itself off Russian gas, a difficult and expensive transition. Even so, here's the uncomfortable truth for Britain. Why the UK can only dream of that growth rate. Since 2009, UK economic growth has averaged just over 1% per year, and even that now looks optimistic. To understand why, we need to rewind. In the 1980s and 90s, North Sea oil powered the UK economy. High prices and strong output delivered a tax bonanza. But they also pushed up the value of the pound, making UK exports less competitive. This is a classic case of Dutch disease, where one booming sector crowds out the rest of the economy. Norway saved its oil wealth in a massive sovereign wealth fund. The UK used it to cut taxes. By the early 2000s, North Sea oil production entered terminal decline, and it has never recovered. Today, there simply isn't much oil left. Finance the second boom. In the crash, as oil faded, finance took over. London became one of the most deregulated and powerful financial centers in the world. New instruments flooded the market. Tax revenues surged. But that success made the UK dangerously dependent on finance. When the 2008 financial crisis hit, Britain was uniquely exposed. The finance sector shrank, tax revenues collapsed, productivity growth stalled, and never truly recovered. After 2009, UK growth turned anemic. Even a 30% fall in the pound didn't revive manufacturing. Investment stayed weak, made worse by Brexit in 2016, which pushed UK investment to among the lowest in the OECD. Austerity, Brexit, and missed opportunities. After the financial crisis, the UK chose austerity. Public investment was slashed. Infrastructure projects stalled. Public sector wages stagnated. And despite record low interest rates, the UK failed to invest in housing, transport, and energy. Instead, cheap money flowed into property and financial assets. The result? Britain got very good at growing wealth, but very bad at growing income. Brexit then added uncertainty, higher trade frictions, and new costs for exporters. Ironically, many British firms responded by relocating parts of their operations into the EU, with Poland actively courting them. Add COVID, the Ukraine war, and rising inactivity due to poor health, and the UK's productivity problem looks even harder to fix. Will Poland really overtake the UK? Now let's be honest, forecasts like this are speculative. Predicting growth 10 years ahead is difficult, sometimes impossible. The UK could still break out of its low-growth trap. Poland's momentum could slow, but one thing is very likely. Wage gaps between similar European countries will continue to narrow. And that's not a bad thing. Economics is not a zero-sum game. A richer Poland benefits the UK. It creates opportunities, trade, and shared prosperity. In fact, if UK and Polish wages converge, free movement of labor may start to look far less threatening and far more practical in the future. This isn't just a story about Poland and the UK. It's a lesson in how choices compound over decades. If you want better wages, stronger economies, and real opportunity, productivity and long-term investment matter more than slogans ever will. If this video helped you see the bigger picture, subscribe, hit the like button, and share it with someone who still thinks economic decline is inevitable. And if you want to understand how falling house prices could impact you and the wider UK economy, watch the next video on your screen. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.